I'm starting my own airline. Kind of. There's a flight that's considered impossible by some people, and that's this flight here, Buenos Aires to Perth. But I'm gonna charter a plane and fly some of you there. I'll explain it all. Coming up. Hey 7-4 crew, welcome back. If you don't know me, my name's Kelsey. I'm a 747 pilot. My channel, 7-4 Gear, is all about aviation. Now apparently some people in the Flat Earth community are not a big fan of my channel. They've called me a fraud, among other mean things, and you know I'm super sensitive, so it's time for Flat Earthers to put their money where their mouth is. In 2021, I made a very simple video offering how Flat Earthers could prove the Earth was flat or not without doing crazy laser science experiments. And that was made for everyday people who aren't scientists or engineers, something that anybody can prove for themselves whether the Earth is flat or not. Charter a plane, fly from Argentina down to Australia, and then they can see that we took off, turned south, and that would be it. Seems pretty simple and easy, right? But some people have written me saying I'm not keeping my promises of the challenge to fly them around the world.
Oh, you said you'd be pilot, and you said if we chose your company, but you won't even tell us who his company is. So this is the kind of thing, this is why I said hold these people's feet to the fire.
But I wanted them to organize the trip, not me. Listen to what I said. Let's get a bunch of Flat Earthers together that you get at your conventions. You can sell some tickets. Hey, you can even make some profit on it. It doesn't really matter to me, but you can charter this aircraft and go anywhere you want to go. I didn't say I wanted to organize your trip. I said you could organize a trip. You could sell tickets. You could make a profit. I didn't say, oh, let me organize your vacation, because I'm not a travel planner. I'm a pilot. And essentially what that means is when I go to work, I show up to my plane, everything's been fixed, the flight plan has been worked out for me. I show up, walk on the plane, verify that everything on the plane is safe, that we have all the documents that we need, and then I safely fly that plane from one place to another place. That's all I do. Not involved in tickets, selling stuff, handling bags, fueling up the aircraft, none of those things, and I'm not involved in organizing other people's travel plans, and that's why I said you could organize the flight. But apparently that message got lost, and they heard me saying, oh, let me organize your flight, I want to plan it all for you, and I'll fly the plane for you. That's what they heard. The Flat Earth community is able to organize Flat Earth conferences, or whatever these are called. So I thought it'd be easy for them to coordinate their own flight. But I was wrong, and I'm willing to admit when I'm wrong, and it's all right, I organized it for you. Now I got a lot of different messages of, we should start here, I want to start here, we should end back where we started, we should do it like this, I want to do this, and so it got very confusing, but there was one consistent message that I got from everybody, and that was this. This is the undoable flight to the Flat Earth community. It's Buenos Aires to Perth, Australia. Now I made this a straight line, but this is not a flight plan. So it took me a bit of legwork to find somebody who had the plane that had that type of range, the availability, the crews, because they're going to have to fly to Buenos Aires with a whole crew, land there empty, and then they're going to have that crew layover and then prepare for the flight back, which is going to be roughly 16 hours. Now since I have a regular job that I sometimes vlog about, like in this one, I can't coordinate everything myself. So included in the costs are funds for me in order to hire some people to organize everything because I have a regular job, and hire a documentary crew because you better believe I'm going to document this entire thing. Now I have to give the Flat Earthers credit here because some of them do believe there is a massive wall there. So if they believe that this flight is impossible and they're willing to fly down to Buenos Aires and think about risking their life to get on a plane, get way outside their comfort zone and take off to fly south, I have to respect that. I have to respect anybody who's willing to do something way outside their comfort zone and have it recorded, like our friend Stella here.
Pull it back a little bit more.
To be clear, I'm the one that's chartering this aircraft and you're coming along as my guest, which means that I have the rights to record everything. You're getting no points, no lounge access, nothing. You're going to have to organize getting yourself down to Buenos Aires, and then you'll have to worry and make sure that you have the visa and necessary paperwork in Perth, and then worry about getting yourself from Perth to wherever it is that you live. Because I know there's Flat Earthers from all over the world, so I wanted to make it easy. All you have to do is get yourself to this one location, and we're going to do one flight together. You can organize your hotels, getting to and from the hotel, and getting to the airport, and from the airport in Perth. You can organize all that stuff on your own because I'm not going to coordinate a 6-day around the world trip. I don't have time for that. Now, like I mentioned earlier, I'm not flying the plane and pilots don't control the flight path anyways. That's set up by dispatchers. So this is just a point-to-point line. I'm not saying that's the route we're going to fly. What I can tell you is that we're going to take off from Buenos Aires, we're going to be flying south, and we're going to end up in Perth. The flight's going to be roughly 16 hours, which is not possible on your flat Earth map. I think I read somewhere that someone said that it would be roughly 30 hours on this flat Earth map. Something that's important if you are going to plan to come and be a guest on this flight is that you purchase yourself a Southern Hemisphere compass, because the compasses in the southern part of the world are different than the northern part of the world for the round Earth people. But just for you flat Earth people, I would buy a Southern Hemisphere compass so that way you can see as we take off, we're going to be flying south, and you can prove that we're not on some extreme rocket ship shooting across the flat Earth globe. So I planned this flight in October because I wanted to give myself time to coordinate everything, give you all time to raise the funds necessary to do this flight, and also because in October it will be springtime in the Southern Hemisphere, and I'm not trying to go when it's extremely cold, so I'm planning it to be in the Southern Hemisphere time of spring of October. Because if I waited until November, December, people would say, oh, it's too close to the holidays, so I picked October. I thought that would give time for everybody, time for you to go spend time with your family. Middle of October shouldn't interrupt anyone's family plans, so they should be able to make it. Now, if you were planning on coming on this trip just so you could hang out with me, I want to remind you, I'm not even 100% sure that I'm going to be able to go, because I don't have vacation during that time and I don't know what my schedule is going to be in October. I'm going to try to go. Absolutely, I'm going to try to go because I want to be there and I want to be and see the documentary, and I really want to go to Perth because Perth has these cute little things as soon as I get there. And since there are some flat earthers that also have YouTube channels, I'm very excited to see their videos explaining how I was able to get a bunch of people in Texas to talk with an Australian accent and convince their dogs to jump around on 2 feet. I created a Kickstarter campaign, and the thing that I like about Kickstarter is that it's all or nothing. Meaning if we don't raise enough funds, nobody has to pay anything, myself included. The other thing you need to realize is that people are pledging money when they do a Kickstarter campaign. That means there will be people who will say, oh, I'll give $5,000, thinking that it will never get funded. And in doing so, that $5,000, when it comes time to pay up, there will be people who say, I'm not going to pay. And that means just because the target got met, it doesn't necessarily mean that everyone's going to actually commit and pay the money. Unless we have the money, we're not going anywhere. Now, it also means that until we have the money, I can't secure the aircraft. What I'm planning on is October 20th. I picked October 20th because, well, I honestly was going to pick October 13th because it's International Skeptics Day or something like that, but I picked October 20th. That's going to make it more easy and more likely for me to be able to bid my schedule in order to have that time off to do this flight. So that is when I'm planning to organize this flight. Now, I think it goes without saying, but I'm going to say it anyway since I received a lot of messages about this, why I didn't organize this sooner. One, I thought you all were going to organize it in the Flat Earth community, but since you chose not to, I said, okay, I'll do it once Perth opens. Now, Western Australia has been closed for a long time. Ask any of the people that are in Perth or Western Australia, they've been trying to get out of prison for a while. And now that it's open, I wanted to give it a little bit of time to make sure it was going to stay open before I organized this flight. I was actually working on this last year, but then Perth, I think they were going to open and then they decided not to open, and then now they did open, and so now we're doing this. Part of Australia was opened up, but this side, Western Australia, was not open, and Perth is in Western Australia. Now, October is a long time away, so if something changes, like a new strain of COVID comes out, or the borders close, or there's some seating capacity rules that get changed, I don't control any of that. Just like I'm not controlling the plane, I am just chartering this aircraft and organizing it and flying as a normal passenger. So if any of that stuff changes, I have no say or control over that. I also can't confirm the date because these people aren't going to reserve the plane and the crew until I pay some money, and no offense, but I'm not going to give them a huge chunk of money until you all have given me the money. Then I'll go give them the money to do this flight. So that date's not confirmed. Once all the money's been raised and the money's been paid, I'll go reserve the aircraft. They'll organize the crew and the plane and get all that stuff locked in. So that's when it's going to get firm. Luckily, you have a lot of people in the Flat Earth community, like this guy, with huge chunks of cash ready to donate for this flight to happen. I'm going to be honest, Flat Earth people, there's a lot of people who don't think you all will raise the money to do it. I'm hoping that you do, because I want to go on the flight, I want to make the documentary, I want to go to Perth. So I want to do all those things. I'm cheering that you guys are going to make it. If you're planning on coming on this flight just to hang out with me, just so you know, I want to be really clear, I've done these 16-hour flights before. I'm not a huge fan of them. I'm going to be riding as a passenger, which means I'm going to eat my meal, which is going to be included in the price. I'm going to eat my meal, and then I'm going to try to go to sleep, because I'm not trying to be awake for 16 hours, and I already know the shape of the Earth because I've seen it. My advice to any of you that are planning to do this flight, and if you're planning to really seriously do it, I'd plan on going down to Argentina, spending a couple days there in Buenos Aires. It's a really cool city. Spend a couple days there. Then you're there, you're rested, you're ready to do the flight. You can stay up for the whole flight and look out the window and do whatever you want to do within reason, obviously, on the flight. Then you're going to land in Perth, and then when you're there in Perth, there's a lot of cool things that you can go see, like these quokkas. That's the thing that I really want to see out there, but that will give you the chance to rest, and then you can spend a couple days there in Perth, and then you can go to the other side of Australia before you fly out, because a lot of the international flights come out of Sydney. And because you're able to organize these types of meetings, I'm hoping you're able to organize and raise these funds. So this is the total amount of money that you need to raise. The link to the Kickstarter campaign is right there in the description. You can go in there and be a part of this thing, and you can either come ride the plane or you can donate just to see that it happens. Like I said, I'm going to make some money on it, but I also have money set aside for there to be crews to help organize it, because I'm not going to do it, and documentary people because I don't know how to do that. As you can see, the best I got is a camera in a hotel room. That's kind of the realm of my abilities of documenting something. So I'm going to get some professionals to put this thing together. I think it's going to be really cool. If you want to see the first Flat Earth video that I ever did, check out this video here. And if you want to see a group of people who I'm pretty sure I could convince that the Earth was flat based on their other ideas that they have, check out this video up here. I look forward to hearing from you. Until then, keep the blue side up.